Okay.
Okay, good evening everybody. I'm going to talk about the Black Swan. There seems to be plenty of them around at the moment. If just about everyone I talk to, they all say, oh yes, I've seen 5, I've seen 10, I've seen this. So they're pretty prevalent, which is great to see. Very sorry, I had put in, my daughter helped me with this, and we did have a photo of where I live, which is Wanji Bay. I'm very lucky in the sense that I live on the reserve, and next door to me there are 2 quite big drains that drain all the water from Puna Road down to the lake. Now, because that happens, there's a lot of silt and soil that comes off the road and ends up sort of spewing out when we get this really strong winds and rain and storms. It comes down, and of course it tends to flow into the lake, and then it's caused a sandbank because it's a little bit tidal, and the black swans love to sit on or come to the sandbank from time to time. The other advantage of that is that the soil and the sediment encourages the growth of seaweed, which is what they like. So over summer, there's been about 6 of them that have been more or less feeding along that section of the Wanji Bay. And anyway, just recently it's got down to 5, and it's now breeding time. So I think, oh, well, I wonder where, and I've done a bit of driving around trying to find out, see them a nest, but haven't come across one. But anyway, and now, there's 2, 3s, but over that summer period there were about 6. Now the black swan, family Anatidae, may excuse my pronunciation of that. Cygnus, of course, is swan, and atratus means black feathers. Okay, now one day I walked down to the drain, and he'd been up quite close to the pipe because it also provides them with fresh water, which I'll show you later on. It's amazing how they actually take up the fresh water from the lake. As it said, black feathers, white in their wings feathers as well, grey black web feet, that red bill with the white tip. I don't like their eyes much. I think they look a bit ferocious. Anyway, we'll see later on. Okay, that's about it for that. The males, which are called cobs, are slightly larger than the pens, which are the female words. It's wonderful for trivia, all these words. You're sure to get a question on this. A big group of them on the ground is called a bank. It can be, crazy words, a lot of collective nouns. It can be a bevy, it can be a herd. In flight, it's called a wedge or flight. Very original. I always have a bit of trouble trying to discern the females from the males sometimes, because like the males are bigger, but it just depends on their ages, and sometimes it's hard to just pick out which are the males. But it's really quite a family group because there's always one that's a bit bossier than the others. maybe they're all females, and they can get quite tetchy about each other. You know, they can sort of like look at each other and all of a sudden think, right, I'm just going to be the boss of you. And they sort of go over and really do, there's a lot of personality little clashes that go on. A friend of mine, or a lady I met, a physio, because I tend to walk up and down there, she took that photo and I said, oh, give it to me because it's such a lovely photo of them with the blue water and what have you. I must admit, when they're in the lake like that and just coming along, they look very majestic and beautiful. They're very graceful, necks tall, strong. It's really lovely. They coexist with lots of other birds. We've got about 25 mallards there, and the reason being is that the lady 5 doors up gives them oats and water every morning. And they know, they all get out of the lake and they waddle up and go around the side of her house, round the back. And so they get on well with the black swans. Egret, pelican. You know, they don't seem to worry about other birds at all. Yeah. Now, like most birds, they have a pattern of life, you know, that happens. And I mean, most of you would have seen lots of ducks and things that do the same thing. In fact, it's not a bad life, really. Because in the morning, the ablution, the preening, this one, I call it the chuffing, because they chuff along the lake, you know, it's a real little chuffy sort of movement. And then the preening is very important. They've got a gland on their tail, which means that it can mean that they can sleep on water. And they're pretty good at that. And then they also sort of stand up and then spread their wings, and you can see the white of their wings. You know, this goes on pretty well most of the morning, and at other times too. So it's very important, I think, with maybe most seabirds, to keep their plumage nice and clean. One day, I noticed there was a red band on one of this one, just here. It's not actually it's actually a bandage type of thing, so a bit of a mystery, I don't know about that one. Maybe it was put on somewhere or other. He won't tell me, of course, but you know. Anyway, then they have nap time. Nap time's very important because they really do spread that lovely long neck right to their back, and they seem to sort of sleep standing up or in the water. And the other day when I walked along, there was one on the shore and he was sound asleep, but his partner was standing there ready to you know, watch out for any dogs particularly. And that's what happened. Someone came along, didn't have the dog on a lead, little poodle thing, and it ran straight towards them and they just quickly went off. But nap time is important. So this is their life, you know. Of course, when you see them in flight, it's lovely because they've got that big long neck, which is gorgeous, and a bit of a sort of whistling sound. And so, you know, I got to know them quite well. They see me walk down. I tried feeding them lettuce, but they weren't interested really. But when I was away in Canberra this past weekend, one of my relatives said she lives at Lake Tuggeranong, and she was actually feeding them, and they were right up on the grass with cygnets around. And I thought, gee whiz. So you can, you know, become quite friendly with them. But I've spent a lot of time doing it. I must admit, I haven't done this yet. I don't think I'd fit into that anyway. God knows how he gets out of it, but anyway. Their range and status, they are least concern. As you notice, all of these acronyms, first letters, NE not evaluated, DD data deficient, least concerned, near threatened, vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered, extinct in the wild, and extinct. Thank God humans aren't voted the same way. I'd hate to be extinct. But the least concern is what they are. And the reason being that, there's a lot of water around, and that's why. There's estimated about 100,000 in the world. They're native to Australia, with the exception of Cape York. Their lifespan, sometimes I've noticed occasionally they'll say much longer than that, 12 years. Sometimes, with a good life, they can be much longer than that. They're introduced to New Zealand, and they're just vagrant in New Guinea. Their diet, of course, they are herbivores, so the aquatic plants, anything like that, is what they like. So they have two ways of feeding, very inelegant way of feeding, that on the left there. But usually they feed like that, put their heads down and just sort of rip off the seaweed, and sometimes they'll come up and you'll see it on their beak. So they're in the right spot, where they are. And I guess that's why they're all in Lake Macquarie, because there's lots of places where there's a lot of seaweed. Sipping water. Now this is one, how do I get that to move?
Oh, should it move?
Do I press something here?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to move. Oh, no, there we are. I've got to click it for you.
They have, it's lovely to watch them sipping water, because they sort of like bring their beaks along and then sort of like bring it up, very graceful, and let it sort of sip, flow down. It's just lovely to see. And so, as you can see, that's another pipe where they get water. Oh, there's another. Maybe that was the one on here.
Yeah, maybe, if you press forward to the next slide, it plays.
Okay, sound. It's a bit of a funny sound.
If you do next slide, it'll probably play it,
Okay, it's a bit of a funny sound. One of the words that was written was bugling, and I thought, well, that's not really a bugle in the real sense of the word. One time there was 3 down here, 2 up here, and they, the other 2 decided to join them, and sort of, went along, and it was lovely to see. I thought, oh God, if only I had my camera. And when the 2 of them met, they put their heads up and actually bugled. You could see it was like that greeting. It was really, really nice. So, sort of saying hello to each other, like that. They often mate for life. Now, at the moment, some of you may have seen, my daughter found the other day on the ABC News, on YouTube apparently it was, about there's a few people researching whether they're monogamous or not. And they found that they were questioning that because they found that some of them stay together for quite some years and then they might just go off and have a bit of an affair with somebody else, some other one. So we were sort of saying, you know, I think they tried to compare it to their human life. But it was apparently that was the comment they were making, that, you know, that they do this. From February to September, 4 to 5 eggs, and they do share the incubation, which is nice, you know. Now, this one, because they are, when it comes to breeding or eggs or anything, they can be quite aggressive. And so much so that this happened. This is in China. Here comes and that's around, don't put your dog in there. All right. Cygnus. They're precocious, which means that as soon as they come out of the egg, they can look after themselves. You know, very handy. Wish we could do the same with humans. Anyway, they can mate occasionally with white swans, and it's called a blue swan. They're very cute, the little swans. Okay, types of swans. It seems to me, just quickly, it looks as if it depends on what colour the bill is. This one here, the black-necked swan, which is really lovely, is from South America, the wetlands of South America. Uruguay, the Falklands, you know. This one, the hooper, has got the little bit of triangular yellow colour on its bill. It all depends on that. Trumpeter is the black bill with the black feet. The tundra is a bit smaller and it's got a little tiny yellow dot at the back. You can't see it there, but at the back of its black bill. And of course we do have mute swans that are introduced, and they've got the orange bill, orange coloured bill. So there's, you know, quite a few different ones. Now, this is interesting about swans, black swans, is that prior, you know, pre-colonial days, which is a long time ago, there were white swans. You know, in England there was white swans. Anyway, in 1697, Wilhelm de Vlaming came to Western Australia as a Dutch navigator, and he went up the river, the Swan River. He called it the Swan River because he saw all these black swans. And he was so amazed, he thought, oh my God, you know, black swans. So what's become, following all that, is that people tend to think that black swans mean some unforeseen event that can happen. So there's a bit of a mystery about them. You know, it's a bit like you say, oh, pigs might fly, but the same thing with black swans. So there's a little bit of that. Anyway, he named the Swan River, and of course Western Australia has taken on the flag, as well as the coat of arms. So black swans have become very important in Western Australia. Okay, this is something which is quite surprising. It's seen as a symbol of transformation. It holds a bit of a mystery because it wasn't seen till, you know, later in the world. It's often seen as a symbol of wisdom. It awakes the self-balance, inner beauty, innocence and grace. This is sort of, you know, to do with a swan. And apparently, if you have a little statue in the southwest corner of your bedroom, of swans, it can mean faithfulness, you know, upholding, enhancing faithfulness. And the other thing is, if you just put a little feather in the pillow, it means that your either husband or wife won't stray. It will mean faithfulness.